Victorious Sandinista rebels marched into Nicaragua's capital city of Managua today. They met only small pockets of resistance, isolated bands of National Guardsmen they quickly overran. The rebels broadcast orders for National Guard holdouts to turn in their arms, and they raided former President Somoza's command bunker. Ike Seamans watched the Sandinistas' arrival and filed this report.
Intense firing began early this morning around the nearly deserted presidential compound and the National Guard barracks there. Soon, soldiers began to leave. The commander of the National Guard had ordered an immediate ceasefire and surrender because the Sandinistas began to arrive in large numbers last night. By mid-morning here in Managua, Sandinista guerrillas were coming in from every direction. Many of the tough young guerrillas were raised in the poor sections of this country where support for the Sandinista movement has been the strongest. And it was the poor people in the capital who filled the streets today to greet the winners of the 18-month-old war. It wasn't long before the guerrillas were serious again as they moved quickly and cautiously toward the presidential compound. They had no way of knowing if they'd meet any resistance. It was deserted. Soon, this column of Sandinistas, led by a young woman, marched into the area which used to be the home of the man they hate the most, former President Anastasio Somoza. Commanders tried to keep military discipline, but that became impossible as guerrillas who had lived in the hills and woods for a long time broke into military barracks to take guns, ammunition, and clothing. This boy is 13. He says this is the first pair of boots he's had in the year he's been a Sandinista. Then the guerrillas stormed into the former office and home of Anastasio Somoza. A rebel flag was placed over his bed. In the war room, Somoza had left a large photograph of Pope John Paul and a poster of a cartoon character. Roughly translated, she says, "This thing is tough, isn't it?" Apparently, that was the ex-president's feeling toward the end. Outside, a painting of him was destroyed. The victory celebration continued, and no one could stop it. With the old government in exile and the new one not yet here, there is no law in Nicaragua. That will change when the Sandinistas' provisional government comes to Managua to take power, and that should be soon. Ike Seamans, NBC News, Managua.